we go with Sportsman. So Eric Hansen sporting some new sponsorship this year by the looks of things. And yeah, what's that guy's name in the right lane there? Is it McKenzie? Steve McKenzie, maybe? I don't know. We'll figure it out eventually. So neither driver stellar on the tree. Finish line, however, it is Eric getting there first with a 12:48. Now Kevin McCauley and Dave Copeland. Copeland in the right lane. In the SUV. McCauley over here, left side. Behind the wheel of his Cutlass. So McCauley leads the way. 11:67, 113 miles an hour. Dave Copeland, 15:97 at 86 miles per hour. So making our way through this first and opening round of time trials. We've got 2 of them planned, but fairly small run order for the day, so it's going to go quick. So we have made the call for Super Pro to the staging lanes. We need Super Pro in the staging lanes, please. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Super Pro to the lane. So Tyler Dobson, left side, and Cassidy Langley in the right lane. Dobson goes 11:76, 117 miles an hour, while Cassidy in the right lane, 15:60 at 89. So I have spent a fair bit of time in front of an AccuTime screen, but it's not as second nature as the old CompuLink screen was for me. But that's good. We'll get used to it. So now Ann Copeland taking on Steve Baskerville. So I'm not sure. I think we got some mixed up numbers here because I think we already saw Steve Baskerville in his Volkswagen Golf go down, and okay, maybe that's what's going on. Good point. So now Sylvia Hoogstens is lined up with Phil Marvetts. Marvetts, multi-time champion in Sportsman at this track. Well, Marvetts in the Duster, right-hand lane, 11:79, 110 miles an hour. Fits quite nicely inside of the new Sportsman Index, where you can now go as quick as 11:60. So we'll make another call for Super Pro. Super Pro, we need you in the lanes. Super Pro, come on down. Super Pro, we need you in the lanes. Speaking of which, Nolan, I'm going to go get in the lanes.
It's the first call of your class in the opening race, do you? So we'll wish John all the best of luck down there in qualifying once again. Rolling low and goes 12.875 in the Meteor. At 101 miles an hour, Eric Brighton goes 19.561 at 67. Brendan Piskasek in the Mustang, bringing it up against Grant Gordon for Four Cycle Customs' Dodge Dart. Firing up to the top end, and it'll be Grant Gordon going 11.968 at 111 miles an hour. Piskasek goes 13.121 at 102. Attention to the pits, attention to the pits. Hot Rod and Motorcycles, you are on standby. Old Car Center Hot Rod and Mountain View Harley-Davidson Motorcycle, you are both on standby. Bill Wells takes it up in the D&D Chevy Malibu, facing off against Sean Langley in that Mustang. Oh, getting there by just 300s. 11.615 at 119 for Langley. Wells goes 11.582 at 112. Brings up Jessica Armstrong from Badass Garage Render Racing, Home Masters team in Rhode Island, in the Dodge to race against Mark Ferguson in his Pontiac Firebird. Ferguson goes 12.521, 108 miles an hour. Jessica Armstrong goes 16.024 at 79. Bring out the Charger once again. Very strikingly blue. .025 on the tree. And he'll run it out the back door with a 12.173 at 112 miles an hour. Bring up the final pair. Oh, sorry, the first pair. That was the last pair in Bubba Speed Shop Pro bracket. This will kick off second round of qualifying for Vancouver Car Wrap Sportsman. Eric Brighton and the 79 Fairmont racing Philip Marvette in the Plymouth. Current number one qualifying reaction time to beat is an 0.23, also set by Grant Gordon. Of course, remember, all of these bracket classes are qualified based off of reaction time. Super Combo qualified based off of how close they are to the index, and Door Slammers is going to be the first class that's actually qualified on the overall ET. They are not anticipated, though, to be out until May. Dave Copeland and Steve Bassi for the next pair down the track, and, well, nothing to write home about on either side on the tree. Attention to the pits, attention in the pits. Rad Torque Systems, Super Pro, lanes 1 through 4. That is Rad Torque Systems, Super Pro to lanes 1 through 4. Old Car Center Hot Rod and Mountain View Harley-Davidson Motorcycle, you are both on standby. Hot Rod and Motorcycle, you're both on standby for your final qualifying hits. Super Pro to lanes 1 through 4. Brendan Piscasek will bring up the Mustang Fox body, while Tyler Dobson brings up the Dead Man Racing Camaro from 1978. Next pair, Sylvia Hoogstens in the 66 Ford Mustang to race against Ann Copeland. That last qualified time from Tyler Dobson put him to the number one qualifying spot by just 1/10,000th. He had to beat an 0.23 with a 4. His reaction time was an 0.23 with a 3. So now, Tyler Dobson's 0.23 with a 3 is the new time to beat for the number one qualifying spot. That's off the reaction time on the tree. Rolling Lowen takes up the Meteor. Still nothing on file for this drive in the Lord Kill lane, but we know it's the Volkswagen Golf. Next pair up, Cassidy Langley racing Bill Wells. Ford Edge going up against the Chevy Malibu for TNT. Bill Wells, 81 years old and still going strong. Over the last 55 years has raced every single event he could get his hands on. Next up, Eric Hansen with some new sponsorship on the car, as John Tabak pointed out earlier. Thanking Broadway on that car in the Dart. Racing Jessica Armstrong for Battis Garage Render Racing Home Master Team in Rhode Island in the Dodge. Kevin McCauley racing that old school Cutlass, facing off against Sean Langley's Hustler. And that, I believe, will take us to the final pair of Vancouver Car Wrap Sports. Oh, sorry, two more pairs. One on the line, Gary Fawcett in the TCS lane in the 1966 Plymouth. He'll face off against Grant Gordon. Now your number 2 qualifier with just 1/10,000th of a second. And now it is looking even more certain that we'll have a new number 1 in the form of Tyler Dobson. Attention to the pits, attention to the pits. Old Car Center Hot Rod to lanes 5 and 6. Old Car Center Hot Rod to lanes 5 and 6. Mountain View Harley-Davidson Motorcycles to lanes 3 and 4. Mountain View Harley-Davidson Motorcycles to lanes 3 and 4. Final pair going down track, Mark Ferguson and Nick Douglas. And how about that? Ferguson to the number 1 qualifying spot. 001 with a 1 on the tree, knocking out Dobson's 023 with a 3. So by just 1,000th of a second, Ferguson, your number 1 qualifier in Vancouver Car Wrap Sportsman. We'll see them back for first round of eliminations.
So first pair of Sportsman cars look like this. It's going to be Dave Copeland, and it's going to be Gary Fawcett. Fawcett in the right lane. Behind the wheel is Plymouth Valiant. So Dave Copeland leaves first, turns it red by 96 thou. Gary Fawcett had a reaction time of .144, so he was there for the taking. Finish line, Fawcett goes 91 on his 96 dial. Dave Copeland was dialed well. 16-14 on the 16-12. So that'll set up our next pair. Brendan Pikasik and Eric Britton. Britton in the right lane. Behind the wheel of the Fairmont wagon. With a 200 cubic inch straight six. Dials 1968. Can't dial much slower in Sportsman. Breaks out by quite a bit. Winlight going to Brendan in the left lane. Goes 13-10 on the 13-04. Well, his Winlight was on the whole time. As Eric turned it red, I didn't notice that. Now Phil Marvez, multi-time past champion here at Mission Raceway Park in the class of Sportsman. Left side of the racetrack, dialed in at 1180. And Copeland in the right lane, dialed 1512. Out in front and trying to stay there, but here comes Phil in the Duster. And Ann Copeland is moving on. Marvez gets to the stripe first by 16 thou. Or sorry, Ann Copeland gets to the stripe first by 16 thou. She wins the double breakout. Next pair now, Tyler Dobson and Kevin McCauley. McCauley in the right lane, dialed 1168. Behind the wheel, the black Cutlass, Tyler Dobson. Dialed 1181 in the dark green Camaro. So a couple of green lights. One of them was really quite green. Tyler Dobson moves on. Goes 1190 on the 1181. Good enough. Well, I guess I should be on my way, Nolan. Got a round to go run.
Picks up our next pair of Roland Lowen and Eric Hansen Meteor versus the Broadway Dart. Pair of green bulbs at 1277 to a 1270. Almost no difference in the two times as they'll run it out to the quarter, and Roland Lowen gets there with the wind light as Eric Hansen breaks out by 200ths. Grant Gordon takes up the Four Cycle Customs dart to race Steve Baskerville in the Volkswagen Golf R with that 2-liter turbo engine. 1194 to a 13-second time. Pair of green lights, and that Volkswagen a little bit sluggish off the hitch. Grant Gordon already pulling alongside. And sure enough, Baskerville breaks out by over a 10th and a half. Grant Gordon moves on to round two. Next up is Cassidy Langley in the 2011 Ford Edge to race Bill Wells in the Chevy Malibu. pair of green bulbs. Wells having to be very, very patient here on the starting line as he now chases off after the slower edge. Breakout for Cassidy Langley. Heard Wells coming and went under. Jessica Armstrong next up, racing Mark Ferguson, Dodge versus Firebird. The Madness Garage Render Racing Home Masters team and Road Iron Machine is away and will be away in round 2 as Ferguson couldn't be patient enough. Red lights by 17 thou. Armstrong cruising through to the top end, not wanting to take too much risk. And that will leave another pair, Nick Douglas, in that 2023 Dodge Charger. Ford versus Dodge, new versus old. The Super B Charger is out first. Sean Langley trying to run him down. A race for the quarter. And at the quarter, it'll be Nick Douglas. Double breakout. Sean Langley only under by 82 thou. Nick Douglas only under by 3 thou. Sylvia Hookstons will be then the bye run. The final car in the 19-car Sportsman field. And that will do it for Vancouver Car Wrap Sportsman. Brandon Piskasek, the next driver up in the 1990 Mustang to race Tyler Dobson for Demman Racing's Camaro. Down at 1181 to Piskasek's 1306. Racing to the quarter mile. Dobson making the pass, gets around Brandon Piskasek. Bill Wells, race of the TNT Chevy Malibu, facing off against Jessica Armstrong, who's already off and away. Wells having to be very patient. A 5-second difference on the starting tree with a head start. Wells trying to chase down Armstrong. Makes the pass. Jessica Armstrong could not stay out in front. Bill Wells is through to round 3. Attention in the pits, attention in the pits. Hot rod to the lanes, hot rod to the lanes. Old car center hot rod to the lanes. Sylvia Hoogstens bests the Meteor by 7 thousandths of a second, put that 66 Mustang through to round 3. Next up, Ann Copeland to race against Grant Gordon, your number 3 qualifier. Grant Gordon seeing if he can get around Ann Copeland. Running down track. The Subaru trying to keep it out in front of the Dart. Can't do it. Grant Gordon makes the pass by 5 thou for the victory at the top end. That wraps up second round of Up a Speed Shop Pro Bracket. I am miscorrected as there's one car still left, and while that buy run runs, we're going to call Warren Jacobson. Warren Jacobson in Super Pro. We need you in the lanes ASAP. Warren Jacobson to the lanes. We need you there now. We are going to cancel the call on Warren Jacobson. So, Warren Jacobson, the call for you has just been canceled. Nick Douglas will be the last pair down with Gary Fawcett, the 1224 dial at 1393. Final pair in Vancouver Car Wrap Sportsman. Gary Fawcett off and away. Nick Douglas in hot pursuit. And top end, Douglas moving on. Garrett Fawcett going home. Grant Gordon and Bill Wells, the next pair up. As we roll swiftly into the Sportsman semifinals. Oh, and a red light start for Bill Wells. Grant Gordon will move to the final in Vancouver Car Wrap Sportsman. Sylvia Hoogstens here with the bye run in Sportsman. She'll make an easy run into the semifinals. That'll roll us around to Nick Douglas and Tyler Dobson. Tyler Dobson turns on the red light. Nick Douglas moves through, so he red lights out of pro, but he'll move on to the semis in Sportsman. Grant Gordon with a bye run for semifinal rounds of Vancouver Car Wrap Sportsman. So now the big question is, will it be a Ford or a Dodge to face off against Grant Gordon in the final? Whatever car it is, it's going to be a blue one. Nick Douglas and Sylvia Hoogstens squaring off. Double breakout, 4th thou under for Sylvia Hoogstens, and it's a trip zip 9 under for Nick Douglas. Douglas faces off against Grant Gordon in the final. Nick Douglas and Grant Gordon. 2023 Dodge Charger facing off against the 69 Dodge Dart. Both drivers away on green lights. And at the quarter, give it to Grant Gordon, winning Vancouver Car Wrap Sportsman.